Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
The very first actress in history to become box office poison before she ever came box office.
Rachel Zegler goes nuts after her career just hit rock bottom, and all thanks to her own dumb moves.
Rachel Zegler has been called many things already in her career. From narcissist to egomaniac, selfish and spoiled brat, even the most unhireable actress in Hollywood. But for me, there are only two words that describe her the best: cringe and condoms.
She never misses a chance to grab hate like it's an award. Her 600 Malor Disney flop tanked, Evita was a ghost town, merch is rotting on shelves, and even Hollywood's sick of her now.
Rachel Zegler, being 23 or whatever she is, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for Infotata is the only global solution.
You know, there was a time not too long ago when Rachel Zegler was the Hollywood Golden Girl. West Side Story dropped in 2021, and boom, Golden Globe in hand, Spielberg hyping her like she was the second coming of Julie Andrews. She was the shiny new toy in town. The glitter has officially turned into rust. Because after that initial moment of glory, she's somehow managed to stack flop after flop, like she's collecting them for a Netflix docuseries titled How to Ruin a Career in 5 Easy Films.
She proves that the only thing Rachel Zegler believes in is that she's God's gift to Mother Earth and the only star that shines in the solar system.
I'm a narcissist.
She was supposed to be Disney's crown jewel, a fresh face to charm a new generation of princess-obsessed kids and their nostalgic parents. Rachel Zegler, with her Golden Globe glow and Spielberg's golden stamp, was handed the glass slipper of Snow White. But somewhere between red carpets and press junkets, she tripped over her own ego and face-planted into Hollywood's Hall of Infamy. The star of Snow White, the voice of a new era, and now, the face of a $600 million disaster. So catastrophic it could fund a small nation's GDP, or at least a few more CGI dwarves. How does someone with Spielberg's blessing, a Disney lead role, and global press coverage fumble this hard? It's not just about a bad performance. Plenty of stars have survived those. This is the story of arrogance, disconnect, and a star who torched her own empire with the enthusiasm of a dragon at a barbecue. The internet, ever the gracious host, roasted marshmallows on the ruins, tweeting gifs of cartoon apples labeled poisoned PR. She wasn't just handed roles, she was crowned. Spielberg called her a star. Disney rolled out the red carpet, probably embroidered with future legend in glitter. She had the look, the voice, and a platform bigger than Cinderella's castle. But none of that matters when your audience decides you're more evil queen than fairy tale hero. Zegler didn't just misstep. She performed a full-speed swan dive off the career cliff, complete with a pirouette and a mic drop. And Hollywood, popcorn in hand, watched it all unfold in glorious 4K. Let's break down the collapse of Rachel Zegler's career, and why Tinseltown's pretending she's gone the way of last season's TikTok trends. It all started with a role most actresses would sell their childhood teddy bears for: Snow White, Disney's OG princess. But instead of honoring the legacy, Zegler decided to dunk on it like she was auditioning for a Reddit thread. She called the prince a stalker, labeled the 1937 classic weird, and pitched her version as a feminist rewrite nobody requested, like updating a Picasso with a Sharpie. In interview after interview, she sneered at the story, acting like she was too cool for fairy tales. "It's weird. He literally stalks her," she said, as if the prince's biggest crime wasn't his questionable fashion choices. Disney's PR team must have aged a decade overnight. The backlash was swifter than a poisoned apple delivery. Twitter, TikTok, and every corner of the internet erupted like a mob with pitchforks and Wi-Fi. Rachel Zegler, please stop talking challenge. Impossible. Became a meme faster than you can say box office bomb. She wasn't trending for her vocal chops or charm. She was trending for sounding like she'd rather be anywhere but in a blue dress singing to CGI birds. Fans questioned her authenticity. Critics sharpened their knives, and Disney's marketing team probably started Googling career salvage operations. This wasn't a bump in the road. It was a neon-lit billboard screaming, "Wrong turn ahead."
The cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie.
Zegler didn't just lose the narrative. She handed it to the trolls with a bow on top. Desperate for a redemption arc, Zegler took on Evita at the London Palladium, a venue so legendary it practically hums with theatrical ghosts. A classic role, a chance to flex her musical theater roots. This was her shot to silence the haters. Instead, she got silence of a different kind: empty seats. Over 70% of the theater sat vacant from June to August 2025, making it less a production and more a high-budget rehearsal for nobody. In a move that baffled even the most avant-garde theater nerds, Zegler left the stage mid-performance to belt "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" from a balcony, to random tourists eating falafel on the street. Paying fans inside? They got to watch her on a jumbo screen, like they'd bought tickets to a Zoom call. Critics dubbed it performance art meets fraud. Fans called it a con with show tunes. The internet, naturally, christened it glitter robbery, complete with photoshopped images of Zegler as a bandit in a sequined gown. This wasn't just theatrical. It was theatrical sabotage, like she'd decided the audience was optional. Zegler didn't miss the point. She rewrote it in crayon and mailed it to Narnia. Snow White didn't just fail. It imploded with the force of a supernova with a grudge. Disney reportedly sank $600 million into production, marketing, and reshoots, enough to buy a small island or at least a better script. The result? Theater chains begged to pull it, like it was a health hazard. Some swapped it mid-week for anything else. One theater allegedly showed a PowerPoint of paint drying and got better turnout. Internationally, it was a bloodbath. Lebanon banned it outright, citing reasons that sound like they were written by someone who saw the trailer and said, "Hard pass." Leaked footage from a US screening showed every seat empty, like the theater was hosting a ghost convention. The warning signs were brighter than a Times Square billboard, but Zegler and Disney kept smiling like they were in a toothpaste ad. Meanwhile, audiences had already left, probably to rewatch the 1937 original on VHS for irony. So was this just another installment of her masterclass on how to ruin a career? A tour de force effort, we must say. In a desperate bid to salvage something, Disney flooded stores with Snow White merch. T-shirts, mugs, dolls, all plastered with Zegler's face. They called them exclusive collector's items, as if anyone was collecting. Shelves didn't just stay stocked, they became modern art installations. One cashier was caught using Snow White mugs as doorstops, probably because they were sturdier than the film's plot. Clearance bins overflowed, and Reddit had a field day. "You can't sell woke if no one's buying," one user quipped, alongside a photo of a Snow White doll moonlighting as a paperweight. This wasn't about politics. It was about Zegler's complete disconnect from the audience she was supposed to charm.
That at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
You heard that right. Zegler not only believes that she's a priceless work of art, she thinks she's sacred, and she doesn't just shout that into the mirror.
Then they couldn't put dwarfs because this is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
Then came the silent mutiny. Gal Gadot, playing the evil queen, delivered a command performance in diplomatic shade. Asked about Zegler, she purred, "I'll talk about that when I feel comfortable," which is Hollywood for, "I'd rather discuss my tax returns." Andrew Burnap, the prince, pulled a Houdini, skipping the premiere entirely. No press, no posts, just a ghosting so clean it deserves an Oscar for avoidance. Zegler had bragged his scenes might get cut, and surprised they were. Her co-stars weren't just distancing themselves, they were sprinting like they'd seen the box office numbers. As the pressure piled up, Zegler tried to pivot with tearful live streams and shaky Instagram posts. One cringeworthy moment had her clutching flowers, voice wobbling, thanking fans who mostly weren't there. The comments section? A funeral for her career, with fans joking it looked like she was mourning her IMDb page. The memes were merciless. Snow White and the 7 empty seats, box office bombshell, the princess and the PR disaster. Zegler didn't just become a meme. She was the meme. A walking punchline who kept tossing fuel on the fire with every post. Then came the quietest cut of all. No loud cancellation, no fiery headlines. Just Hollywood's iciest punishment. Ghosting. The Tangled remake, rumored to star Zegler as Rapunzel, canceled without a peep. Spielberg, her former cheerleader, muted. Studios didn't blacklist her. They just stopped returning her calls, like she was a telemarketer selling Snow White 2. In Hollywood, silence is worse than a scandal. It's erasure. And Ziegler's inbox is looking lonelier than a theater showing her movie. Snow White didn't crack $100 million domestically, outgrossed by Minecraft, the movie and Lilo and Stitch, films with blocky pixels and a surfing alien respectively. Disney tried spinning it. It's killing it on Disney+, they chirped, refusing to release streaming numbers. That's not success. That's a PR intern's fever dream. IMDb rankings tanked. Rotten Tomatoes turned into a digital slaughterhouse with a 42% score that felt generous. Critics and fans didn't just pounce, they brought pitchforks and a group discount. Rachel Zegler had it all. The roles, the hype, Disney's war chest. But she forgot the one thing no star can fake: fans. She skipped the grind, mocked the classics, and acted like the crown was hers by divine right. When it collapsed, she pointed fingers at the internet, as if the internet forced her to call a beloved fairy tale weird. Zegler didn't lose her career overnight. She chipped away at it, one smug interview, one flop, one ignored audience at a time. She came off as completely entitled and narcissistic, not to mention that she obviously had no respect for the long legacy of the Snow White film all those years ago. Now she's not even the villain in someone else's story. She's just gone. Quietly, completely, and almost tragically, like a princess who wandered off script and into obscurity. The lesson for studios, casting directors, and anyone watching: fame without fans is just noise. Zegler ignored the ticket buyers, and they didn't yell. They just walked away, probably to rewatch Frozen for the 47th time. And someone else, someone who knows not to bite the hand that buys the popcorn, is already waiting in the wings. So please hit the like and subscribe buttons before Hollywood sweeps this fairy tale fiasco under the rug for good. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope to see you again soon.